I want to talk about the dismantling of the Department of Education by using Sonya Sotomayors' Dissent, because I think it's really important that people understand the severity of the situation. She breaks down why this specific decision will ruin millions and millions of students' lives, will really change, honestly, our entire way of education, considering how much the Department of Education does that most people don't know about. It's not their fault. It is the fault of the Democratic Party for not informing them every step of the way of the importance of the Department of Education. Let's break it down. I'm just gonna be reading little parts of the dissent, not the entire thing. This case arises out of the president's unilateral efforts to eliminate a cabinet-level agency established by Congress nearly half a century ago, the Department of Education. As Congress mandated, the department plays a vital role in this nation's education system, safeguarding equal access to learning and channeling billions of dollars to schools, students, across the country each year. Only Congress has the power to abolish the department. The executive's task, by contrast, is to take care that the laws be faithfully executed. Lyndon McMahon gutted the department's workforce, firing over 50% of its staff overnight. In her own words, that mass termination served as the first step on the road to a total shutdown of the department. She put this in the press release on March 11th, 2025. When the executive publicly announces its intent to break the law and then executes on that promise, it is the judiciary's duty to check that lawlessness, not expedite it. Rather than maintain the status quo, however, this court now intervenes, lifting the injunction and permitting the government to proceed with dismantling the department. That decision is indefensible. It hands the executive the power to repeal statuses by firing all of those necessary to carry them out. The majority is either willfully blind to the implications of its ruling or naive, but either way, the threat to our Constitution's separation of powers is grave. I think it's more than grave. I think it's completely destroyed. I think the complete destruction of the executive branch as well as the judiciary branch, there's no branches. That's what this tells me. There's no one setting laws and regulations to put people in check. There's no checks and balances anymore. Now she's kind of going to break down some of the significant factors of the Department of Education that everyone utilizes, but no one knows that is the Department of Education that implements it. Congress has also charged the department with ensuring equal access to education. The department's Office of Civil Rights, for example, enforces several anti-discrimination laws as to federally funded educational programs, including Title IX programs, including Title IX 42, prohibiting discrimination on the basis of race, color, and national origin. Title IX 20, prohibiting discrimination on the basis of sex, and Title II of the Americans with Disabilities Act 42 USC, prohibiting discrimination on the basis of disability. The department additionally administers the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA, which funds and supports special education services for more than 7 million students with disabilities. And I want people to understand this also includes learning disabilities like dyslexia, like needing more time to take tests, like anyone who has an IEP or a 504 is going to be impacted. Tens of millions of low-income families too rely on financial assistance programs administered by the department under Title I of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act. Put simply, schools and students in every state rely on federal programs established by Congress and run by the department. Congress has prohibited the Secretary of Education from abolishing organizational entities established in the department's organic statute. As for statutory entities transferred to the department, the Secretary may only consolidate, alter, or discontinue a subset of entities specifically identified after providing Congress with 90 days advance notice and a statement of the action proposed and the facts and circumstances relied upon in support of such proposed action. For example, after school programs, which is something that a lot of low income families rely on because they usually get out of work late, the parents or guardians, and then they're able to pick up their children later. These are things that help children succeed. These are things that keep children safe off the streets doing bad things. We talked about it March 11th, 2024. Nearly 50% of the department's workforce slashing the numbers of employees from 4,133 to 2,183 people. Remember how Trump made English the main language in the United States? Well, listen to this. The Office of English Language Acquisition, for instance, has been completely abolished, and staff from a separate office are absorbing statutorily required work, despite statutory limits on secretary's ability to discontinue that office. The district found that the closure of that office will irreparably harm plaintiffs' ability to serve their English language learners by disrupting funding streams and creating delays in the provision of services. The government offers no reason to believe that finding is clearly erroneous. The government's standing argument that provides no legitimate basis for the majority's decision to issue emergency relief. So the whole reason that this is even happening is because Trump is saying that we destroy the Department of Education because we need more relief. You know what the relief is for? To kidnap more immigrants because we want to get rid of them, because we are not going to need them, because we will not be teaching them English, because we only want to create a white supremacist country. This is the significance about the federal aid. Take, for instance, the federal student aid program. Under federal law, a college or university may participate in federal student aid programs only if it has a program participation agreement with the department and meets eligibility standards. When a school wants to accept students eligible for federal financial aid, it must receive an initial certification from the department and then be recertified regularly. State respondents. If a school is due for recertification, even months-long delays in the certification process can hobble the school's ability to enroll students who depend on financial aid. Unsurprisingly, the mass termination of department employees, including most of the department staff that handle certifications and recertifications, has already resulted in harms to institutions seeking to enroll students on financial aid. The state plaintiffs submitted affidavits showing that a technical school in Washington state, for instance, did not receive recertification for one of its campuses in time for the start of spring semester 2025. Although in the past it took less than 7 weeks to approve recertification applications, the department took 18.5 weeks to approve the application. As a result, the school was forced to forego admitting students eligible for federal financial aid, and the total enrollment for the term was less than 1/5 of the expected size, costing the college lost tuition funds. And this is the last page. The harm to this nation's education system and individual students is of a far greater magnitude. The department is responsible for providing critical funding and services to millions of students and scores of schools across the country. Lifting the district court's injunction will unleash untold harm, delaying or denying educational opportunities and leaving students to suffer from discrimination, sexual assault, and other civil rights violations without the federal resources Congress intended. The majority apparently deems it more important to free the government from paying employees it had no right to fire than to avert these very real harms while the litigation continues. Equity does not support such an inequitable result. The president must take care that the laws are faithfully executed, not set out to dismantle them. That basic rule undergirds our constitutional separation of powers, yet today, the majority rewards clear defiance of that core principle with emergency relief. Because I cannot condone such abuse of our equitable authority, I respectfully dissent.